Knowing very well that we were still lacking, he did nothing to assist us. But he had the audacity to go and visit Eugene Tok and ensured that Eugene Tok received a parole. And I'm made to believe, I haven't checked that Eugene Tok is receiving a pension of about 40,000 rand a month. Those are rumors. I can't verify. But it is there. But who paid him a visit? Jacob Zuma Msholozi. He went there. And Eugene Tok.
Yes. But he was alive.
Yeah. He was not going to stand for any position.
Okay.
That's why he was undermined by this old man Mandela, who usurped his. Mandela came to us as a proxy.
Even.
He was imposed upon us.
Why?
We never elected him to be our spokesperson when he was released. Who elected him? Who mandated him?
But
who mandated Mandela?
But we were told this narrative, Comrade Joe, that during those difficult
from the front, from Swaziland, most unfortunately, TZ unfortunately dies in the hands of Jacob Zuma. But if they are still alive, they know that, and they hate the ANC even today. But Zulu, we used to refer to TZ. He died under mysterious circumstances.
Mashiane Politically Incorrect. We are back at it. You asked a lot of questions, and those questions are going to be answered today. This is in relation to the podcast that we've done. I think though, if you are watching this for the first time, I think one of the things you could do is maybe go back to the previous podcast. We'll link it at the end of this and we'll attach it here. If you don't know how to attach it, maybe just ask someone. Either you push it to the end of the podcast so you can watch it, or you just click the asterisk there, or just click for more information, and then you'll see the attachment of the part 1. You kept on saying, let's do part 2, let's do part 2. So this is the part 2. We were lucky. The freedom fighter came to our rescue, and he wants to listen. He listened, and he wants to answer for you. So I'm just going to throw it back at him to say what were his take from the previous podcast that we've done. I don't want to block you where to start. You just tell me where you would prefer to start, so we could take it from there. Where do you want to start?
I've got about 3 issues.
3 issues. Let me fix your mic while you are speaking. Just pardon me, but let me just fix your mic. Apologies. Yeah. Gonna do this. Yeah. Can go ahead. You got about 3 issues?
3 issues that I need to touch. 1 is the negotiations that happened in South Africa.
Yes.
2, the question about Chris Hani. And 3, questions about Msholozi.
Okay. So you've got 1, 2, 3 issues that you want to discuss.
I may expand, but currently these are paramount.
Okay. You can go.
We all know that after the unbanning of all liberation movements, negotiations started in South Africa, which we may refer to as CODESA. From the side of the ANC, we had people like Jacob Zuma, Matthew Posa, Penuel Maduna, Cyril Ramaphosa, and others who were acting on behalf of the ANC to negotiate a new dispensation for South Africa. Something bugs me about those negotiations, because we were told that all former liberation movement or military formations needed to be disbanded. All former military, the TBV states, SADF, MK, APLA, Azanla. We had to disband because a new military was going to be formed, which eventually turned out to be SANDF. We were all under the impression that no one will regard it as superior to the other. Because most of our guys, when they went to Valmansdal, they found that people who were integrating them were the former apartheid regime members, the Boers. Now, to some of us, this appeared to be an absorption, not the formation of a new military force.
Yes.
Because you find that those who decided which rank to be given to former freedom fighters were the Boers. But looking at all the events that happened, I don't know, I may be wrong, but most of the guys that were in the front who came to fight, infiltrated the country, never received senior positions. Those who were at the rear are the ones who were given senior positions. Some of them were at school.
I want you to give an example of what you're talking about. Let me check the mic. Can you please give an example?
The example is, you are given ranks.
Yes.
On your journey. Now, most of the people that were in front, I will refer to Faku, one of the best comrades that ANC ever produced. We had thought, all of us, that at least he'll be giving a rank above brigadier. No.
Faku's names?
That was his combat name, Faku.
Are you able to disclose his full identity, or you want to let it as far?
No, that's his combat name.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll come up if he's listening to this.
Okay.
And correct.
Okay.
So, but what I'm basically saying is that most of those who came to the front received inferior positions. The majority of those who never even ventured into the front to come and fight became generals, brigadiers, etc. There's one youngster that I know of that I had groomed. Most unfortunately, he's passed on now. He was given a lieutenant colonel's position. He never came to it. He was one of those COSAS youngsters who joined the ANC in the late 80s. You remember there was a time when they said the young lions were coming.
Yes.
He was one of the young lions. But he received a position far senior than some of the guys, to name even Faku, who had sacrificed their lives. He became a lieutenant colonel. So these are some of the things that made me to sit down and start researching what the ANC is. Not forgetting that in exile, one had the opportunity of reading a book by John Perkins. No, it's not John Perkins, Peter Wright. The title of the book is The Spy Catcher.
Spy Catcher?
Yes, by Peter Wright. Peter Wright was a former MI5 officer, the British covert, yeah. Now this book tells you about the level of infiltration that all these organizations were subjected to. CIA, MI5, MI6, KGB. Now, I introspect, look at the ANC. We're just a minute organization with no funds. We were dependent on funds from the Nordic countries and other countries, friendly countries. Now, for us to think that the ANC wouldn't be infiltrated was delusion. Taking into account, I've just referred to the biggest organization that were well funded. We were not funded. To say a cliche that we used to use, or to coin a phrase that we used to use, besiphila ngomphando. And then we sit today, 2025, and say the ANC was not infiltrated. It's fallacy. Now, then this brings me to the topics that I've highlighted. During the negotiations, we had these people that I've named who were part and parcel of the negotiating team. Now, during the negotiations, benefits of all freedom fighters were discussed. But to our surprise, I'll give one example. The former TBV states and the Boers, when they go to one military hospital, all their families are beneficiaries. But we, the freedom fighters, were denied that opportunity. I attend one mil hospital alone, not my beneficiaries. Why? Who agreed to that?
So this you point out as one of an example of failure at the negotiations.
Yes.
So do you think it was deliberate, or they only cared about themselves when they were negotiating? They did not include everyone.
It was deliberate, taking into account which individuals were negotiating on our behalf. Did they have the welfare of us at heart, or some people's welfare at heart? The TBV state guys enjoy all the perks. Only the freedom fighters, the female liberation guys, do not. You can check. I go to one mil hospital alone.
And the white beneficiaries?
You can go there, you'll find them with their kids, attending, receiving medical attention.
And this thing is not raised by you only. It's raised by many others. When you confront your, I don't even know what to call them, your fellow freedom fighters about such discrepancies that can, within our lifetime, within a year, a policy can be advanced to correct this, because it's not only you who cries about this, a whole lot of you. What kind of responses are you confronted with?
It is difficult to speak to these guys when you go to the house. You remember there was an incident that happened when some of our guys were locked up for holding the minister hostage.
They say one of yours were holding the ministers hostage and you did not want the ministers to leave.
You remember that incident?
Yes.
It's precisely because the comrade wanted to ask questions. The subject that I've just raised is one of them. The issue that I've raised is one of them. Now, you are not given a chance to negotiate. They've put in place people who've never been in the struggle, who do not understand our plight and our situation. And I cannot blame those people that were supposed to negotiate with our guys, because they were not there during the first negotiations, the CODESA. They are inheriting something that has been put in place by people who are still alive, some of them today. Zuma, Matthew Posa, Cyril Ramaphosa. These people knew what they were discussing and what they were negotiating. That is why Matthew Posa today He's the one who's defending those guys who had held those people hostage. And hear what he's saying. Because we never even received the package. He's the one who mooted the 2 million package.
What is that?
That we were supposed to have given that package, a lump sum, as part and parcel of demobilization. Mediposa is aware of that.
Please explain it again, because we are not privy to it. Are you saying when armed struggle was disbanded, because it was first suspended, right?
Yes.
And then disbanded, part of the agreements maybe made to you was that as a severance package, the participants of these freedom fighters are going to get
something.
Okay.
If there's an incident when they had sent some other guys to go overseas to go and check what had happened to previous liberation guys. What is it that was given to them? They went to Namibia, they went to Algeria. I'll name but the two.
Okay.
They came with good results, which were never implemented by the ANC.
Hold it there. So there was a peer review committee that was sent to go and check other liberation movements.
Yeah.
What did they do for their things? And do you know if you remember
one guy? I tend to I tend to confuse them.
Yeah.
It's between Modise and Seatolo. Also Seatolo or Modise. It can't be Modise.
Okay.
I think it's Atolo. I think he came from Deep Kloof.
Okay, so they might be part of this
of the delegation.
Yes,
that went there, and they came back with good results that were supposed to be implemented. Policies that were supposed to be implemented by the ANC. That was shelved. Until today.
Which year is it, if you remember?
I can't remember, but he was a member.
Is it before 94?
No, after 94. After the negotiations.
After the military veterans department was already there?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there were still these grumblings.
So you reckon the ANC did not take that to government into military veterans, or you don't know where he died?
That guy, if we can trace him, I don't even Seattle or Denmont is one of the two.
Okay.
Because he even said that to us when we had a conference at the Poison's Hotel.
Yes.
He came to tell us that during the times of KB Mapatsu.
Yes.
So with KB Mapatsu there.
Yes.
So he said that to us. So all I can say is that the ANC or the people who are at the head, the ANC is no problem as an organization. The problem is the individuals who are holding high position within the ANC today that are responsible for all these things, problems that we are facing as former liberation movement guys. Because if they had been with us in exile, and they would have understood our plight, I don't think we'd be suffering the way we are suffering today.
We're still on the topic of negotiations. The people who were negotiating for you have proven that they were not negotiating in good faith, because it's not only you, it's many others, and some are, of course, in the MK party, and I speak with them. I just want to understand this part. Why do freedom fighters, MK was formed by ex-freedom fighters from the ground, ex-freedom fighters. When it was formed, when it matured, civilians came, they took over. And the MK soldiers are crying foul every day, and they come here and we speak about it. I'm saying it because people must not think it's a rumor, because they come here, they speak, and they even speak out. And I know they're not the majority, but what they are crying about is the people that they entrusted at negotiations, they did not negotiate in good faith for them. And they formed a political organization. I don't know if you are still a member of the ANC. You are in a political organization that upholds these civilians who don't care about people who went to exile and their interest, because a simple matter like the one that you are stipulating of just making sure that you and your dependents, your beneficiaries are taken care of at number one military. It shouldn't be complicated, but people like them, they keep being elected. What is the solution? Because the negotiations are over. People have eaten.
The problem is the current electoral system.
Uh-huh.
Because the ANC is there. We are not electing individuals. We elect a party, the organization. That organization consists of a list of people.
Yes.
Now, the higher you are on the list, the top position you will get. That's how it works within the ANC. That's their policy. And I've already jumped to that because I wanted that to be the last.
Yes.
Because it brings in something.
Yeah.
Now, those people who have joined the ANC did not join now, currently, did not join with interest or the welfare and the interest of the Frelimo followers at heart. They came there to line up their pockets.
And sorry to interject you, because they're going to blame me for interjecting you, because I want to explain something. The African National Congress, in order to protect certain things, in order to protect civilians who would come into the party and run it, one of the things they've done is, for example, they call it gender parity. Male and female. It's in the policy. And I want to say to you, could it be, is it that what you wanted? Because you guys are still alive. The military veterans are there. Shouldn't the ANC say, whether it's cadre deployment or whatever is it? Because I know people in the military veterans, they're very frustrated. Put it into policy to say, in deployment, people with disabilities, people with veterans, people with blah, blah, blah. So you could be taken care of. Have you arrived at such decisions? Have you won? Because people would say the military veterans were beaten politically in conferences because you did not advance policies in the ANC to protect your interest. And that's why these young people who are coming in, and then now you who have fought for this negotiated settlement have now to back these young civilians who do not have the appreciation of your contribution to the struggle.
It is difficult for us to have a say in the ANC if you don't have money. People who are high on the list have bought those positions. I'll give you an example. What happened during the first local government elections in 1995. That time I stayed in Don Park. We were there and the others in Don Park. There was this excitement about people who are from exile. The residents, the normal people, were happy that people like us could be given positions. Now, hear what happened to me. It's where I realized, when I discovered that these politics are dirty. Kwede Mandashe was put on the list in his absence. Because within the conference, the whole people were told, Fagan leka malili, Fagan leka malili, Fagan leka malili. Now you take it from there. Now, because I was from exile, they knew about me, some of them. I was high up on the list. Who was the secretary of the branch? James Mtlatsi's wife, the former unionist.
Yes.
Now, a list conference was convened in Jamestown afterwards, where we were going to be told our positions. All along, this lady never told me anything, James Mtlatsi's wife. But because we were going to the list conference, she told me that I was supposed to be there. When we got there, the convener said to all of us that You know what, guys? We had requested that you furnish us with CVs. Some of you are high on the list, but because we couldn't receive your CVs, there was nothing that we could do. I looked at Mapule. She did not ask me for my CV. Number one, so I have already failed to get into the list because I did not give them my CV. That's point number one.
Wait. To get to where?
No, to be on the list so that I can go into the local government.
Yes. Yes.
Now to be there. During the branch conferences, my name was high, and others. In Bumantashe, them you name them. For Eric Kaya, because I was in the East Rand. But because I did not submit, I was not known by the organizers, so they couldn't put me on the list. Although I had shown popularity on the list.
Yes.
But I was mysterious to them because they didn't have my CV. And Mapule Mutasi did not tell me because I would have given them my CV. So that's one point on the side. I just want to understand the shenanigans that are going within the ANC branches. So it was for the list for the proportional representation. Then came the ward councillor election. So all the guys, Eric Kaya and them, and Mandela said, Joe, you're going to stand for the ward or you are staying. And people were happy around there. That no Rabata Joe, ato remela.
To a ward council.
Yeah. This thing of election, when even not necessary, I don't know where it came from. The last day when my name was supposed to be announced, I already had opposition. Who is the convener? The Secretary of the Prince, Mapule Motats. So Mapule stood up, took a podium and said, people, I'm afraid to tell you that Joe has got people that are opposing him. So there's got to be elections. Guys and neighbors were mad. They said they wanted nobody but me. What was happening outside? Something mysterious was happening. Why to one of the truck, the 4-ton idea, Magamon did it all about. Bakenamo Hulomba, somebody Scota Kimpunsi, Cabo Villa Lisa, or you name them.
What year is this, Ghana?
Year 95, I think the first local government election.
Like way back.
95.
Already people are starting to mobilize voting mobs.
They go once out, wow, what's happening? So I see these 4-tonners outside. But about Swamba, Kensington Copperhead, Lady Jassid overall upon. Mapule was seated on the table and the guy who was opposing me, a Chilwane guy. Habaki and Amumiako, but Musakamu right. I'm trained.
Yes. You could notice people working together.
Yeah, trainer. So Mapule has already declared, or I know there's going to be election. That's ANC policy. Or Joe no, there are people who are opposing him. You know, Don Park in 1995 was famous because of Chris Hani, because of Tokyo Sohwale. But Chris Hani was there, stayed there. Tokyo Sohwale stayed there. I to perform an Akwele Chris Hani as well. Stayed there. The people around, really around the ANC. So I was guaranteed that ward or I'll get at least Kitaba ward councillor. But now Mapule says I'm being opposed by somebody, so there needed to be elections. So there's another guy who was next to me, Roni, was a traffic cop. He was mad. Arhabatu wana chilwan, Roni, you know what, my boy? I'm withdrawing. He was adamant I should not withdraw, Roni, I am losing here. Are losing. You know, they said inside the hall that day, but we'll never vote for the ANC in that ward. It was the only ward that was won by the TA. They're not there by the National Party then.
Yes.
They.
In 95.
95. A place that was made famous, Hani, and the rest, Botokyo, Leboro, Labangatamo. We lost that ward. Because people, we will never vote for Chilwane. We lost that vote. Why you know what you are doing, Nina. That's when I started learning. So that's how the elections work within the ANC. Mashiane, if you don't have money, you'll never get high up the list. Because people get mobilized. But Hulung already knowing what Ketamang, Baragatudi Hampa, Baragatudi, when on next you are genuine, you are an honest person, an altruist, you're going to lose. That's why the current status quo within the ANC today. Those people that got there did not get there because they were helping their community or they are known by their neighbors. They got there because they host parties. They buy votes. It happened to me again. Thank you for lived in Fredo, I'm staying now. Where's some ladies, because they wanted to put their person in place. But Haker Kiabu, I was a chairperson of the branch, or 25, or 23. I couldn't say utter a word because of the noise that happened there. I had to, because I'm one person, I had to withdraw. Because I have no chance. I am genuine, I'm an altruist. I want to be elected on merit, not because I'm famous. But what's happening within the ANC is the opposite. That's why we're seeing the current crop today. When you shout aloud the slogan, you go high up the list because you've bought people.
Okay.
Now, I was on the question here, the people who negotiated.
Yes.
Who failed to negotiate good benefits for us? The very same persons, one of them, eventually later became a president. Knowing very well that we were still lacking, he did nothing to assist us. But he had the audacity to go and visit Eugene Titok and ensured that Eugene Titok received a parole. And I'm made to believe, I haven't checked that Eugene Titok is receiving a pension of about 40,000 rand a month. Those are rumors. Can't verify. But it is there. But who paid him a visit? Jacob Zuma. He went there. And Eugene Titok, he's got a big house. He's a happy man today. We are suffering. Is really, really genuine that he wants to help freedom fighters. When he failed as a president, when he had all the powers as a president, now he's out as an old man, he's misleading those young men. That in Ketene 40, when he was able to do the things that he did to enrich the Guptas, to destroy the South African economy, kill SARS. And yet now, people must, those youth, or those MK guys, still expect that Zuma will help them. I doubt. But hear this one again. I'm not a communist. But my heart is that of a socialist. I do not believe that one man must be rich at the expense of others. I do not believe that the mineral wealth of the earth must belong to an individual. The state must take care of those mineral wealths in order to uplift the populace. Now, we have this problem. The Western imperialists and the Boers hated communism because communism speaks of people shall hold the means of production. Capitalism and individual, private property. Now, the Boers in South Africa were totally against communism. They used to say Ruegefar. You can see even the West, wherever they thought there was communism, they always attacked. An example is Angola. You got Mozambique. Cuba pains me because I trained there. Havana was embargoed that nobody should trade with Cuba because of their communist policies. Now, taking that into account, that wherever there is communism, the West attacks. Even today, they are still challenging Russia. Well, Russia is strong, they can't do anything. They are trying by all means. They want to challenge China, they can't. But Cuba, because it was an island, Angola, poor country, Mozambique. What they did in Mozambique, they introduced RENAMO to fight against so-called Ruegefar. In Angola, they introduced UNITA against with Savimbi to fight against Ruegefar. Now, we are fighting RENAMO. RENAMO is fighting Mozambique. And our guys, when we go through Mozambique, we get a problem because RENAMO is attacking us. And it's attacking Frelimo. After our independence, a high-ranking RENAMO guy is found in South Africa. The last place of his abode was in Winchester, south of Johannesburg. He was living with another lady we call Isabel. If you can go to the book that was written by Ronnie Casserel, you'll find that name Isabel.
Yes.
Isabel was Msholozi's girlfriend. Because you have a bafas. Now, this RENAMO guy is a top-ranking RENAMO guy. He was sprung out of Mozambique because Frelimo wanted him, and he hid in South Africa and staying with Isabel. His name was Tembe. Now, this Tembe guy, all along, I thought he had a child with Isabel, because there was another youngster by the name of Muzi who was always around with them. Muzi passed on, and some of the comrades, the lady comrades, Bosa Rafina, I'll name but one, asked me to read an obituary. This young man, Muzi's funeral, was held to Kibla Park Recreational Center in Kibla Park, south of Johannesburg. His funeral was on the day when there was a feud between Thabo Mbeki and Zuma. I think it was around about 2008. And it was a Saturday. I got to the hall, you know, as normal, the custom, the very family in front seat. And then there's my lectern where I was supposed to do my obituary. I see Tembe seated there. And next to Tembe, I expected to see Isabel. It's another lady. And then some strangers that I didn't know in front. So I looked around Kibata Sarafina. I saw at the back. Kamisa Sarafina kasi selakunge. Sarafina so kamusaka. Kanti muziki mwanamang. She said to me, Chief, wabona luena. I said, I'm no longer going to conduct because I thought muziki mwana wa Isabel. I don't give a damn about Tembe. I said, I'm not going to do that obituary anymore. It means King Wanawa Tembe, that lady who is a Mozambican, Tembe's wife came from Mozambique. So that Batlo Hono Patamanabon. So Isabella had to take a back seat. Something strange happened. So everything was conducted. It was time to go to the cemetery. In a Resamo Chrome Dry, Ikamo Bracken Downs. Now, the short copies road towards Alberton and Lebrefield road towards Vernaching. So now we were traveling from alongside short copies, we were going to turn right mot Lebrefield road. Harklo feet and what roof, the blue lighting so diata. We. So the traffic had to be stopped. Dear fate, I did join her. Can I return to a procession? A funeral. Yeah, the convoy. Oh, Kim Cholos. The day when there was this mediation between me and Altamambeki. Patangwana was a foreigner. A RENAMO guy who was fighting against us, who was on the side of the Boers. Because I was already there, because I couldn't get out. I wanted to see what was happening. We went to the cemetery, Shuluzuki and Nemole. Everything happened. I didn't want to go anywhere next to him because I'm still asking myself questions. Tembe was killing us. Tembe was being funded by the Boers. He's in South Africa. And I don't know, I haven't confirmed it. I was even told that he was also receiving special pension from South Africa that we are receiving. Here in Zuma, there's a mediation. Yeah, highly Tabombek. He is here. Utsuile Kulu to the house to come and bury this young man who's not MK, who's a nobody, whose parents, both parents are Mozambicans. The funeral proceeded, and when everything was completed, we'd go back to recreational park, Kibla Park, Hojauting. Yeah, after convoy happened. No, maybe he's rushing back to the house. I said they were staying in Winchester Hill. Ika called N12. And then now we go to north of N12, not the south of N12. Mogadakshina holiday. You no Rachigarna left Sarkopis beg Royal. Here comes Mushodos in. What was so important about this youngster? Who was not even MK. I don't even think Msholozu I attended funerals at former comrade. I don't think so. I've never seen him. Modi funerals attended former comrades. But he had to leave a serious meeting as Halankwa, Kolutul House, between Yen and Tabombek, to come and attend funeral young and our RENAMO. Tembe. You can research who Tembe was, who was, I think was fourth or second in charge here, RENAMO. He come to attend that funeral. Not yet Tembe, maybe if it was Tembe, I would say, Mwana wa Tembe mza, babarankiwiki mzi, whatever. I think he got lost. He thought we were going back to Winchester. He came in, I left because I hated Zuma for what they did to me by removing my name on the amnesty list. And hello, who shot TZ foot.
Who's TZ?
Thami Zulu.
Tell us about Thami Zulu. Before you do, who is Isabella?
Isabella, that's a code name.
Okay.
Go read that book. Ronika Sadar. Where somewhere Ronika is indicated. Isabel's house was next to the fence, South African fence in Mozambique. When we ran deeper, defense, she stayed somewhere Mobile fence. Search, you'll find everything. Ya Ronnie Crosserell. She was Msholovi's girlfriend. But how they shared her with Tembe, asizazi, or was it a setup? Izabo, asizazi.
Okay, so this is what you are alleging. So the funeral, Kingwana Tembe.
Wana Tembe msadi utile from Mozambique.
Why were they hosted by Isabel?
More Winchester Onadwali hosa Isabel. I thought all along Muziki wa Isabel.
Oh.
Now the day of the funeral, Sheba, the family, who's in the bereaved family, Isabel hayo. There's a lady next to Tembe. Ukenzengitugu ukobile. I called Sarafina, ke muso wezalangare, weiponela chief.
Okay. Who's Thami Zulu?
Thami Zulu was one of the commanders, because was in the front line, who responsible for the KwaZulu, for the Natal machinery. For the Natal machinery. Something happened in 1989. No, was it 1987. After the Johannesburg military squad bomb blast, Kepuza was removed, withdrawn.
Who's that?
Spionyanda Kepuza.
Okay.
My commander was withdrawn.
You call him Kepuza?
Kepuza.
Yeah. Kepuza. Okay. All right.
Kepuza was withdrawn and was replaced by one comrade who was the chief of staff in Angola. We used to call him Uncle Mushu. Was to come and take over from Kepuza. Mushu came to Swaziland, was then later arrested by the Swaziland and deported back to Lusaka. From Lusaka, he made a U-turn, he must come back. Afika go Mozambique. Our guys go Mozambique were seen talking to him by one double agent, Frelimo double agent, South African Frelimo. So that guy knows our guys. One of the guys, Pasikus Babamu, was my cousin, Francis Malaya. That's his code name. We're observing this. So now, Lenda Mozambique, Maputo, they must arrange Obama Krista Bekuta Mososland, that's the front at Operative Moyon, to be in charge of us. This Mozambican guy says, oh, do you know that guy you're talking to? But hey, that's our chief. This Mozambican guy says to them, that's a double agent. But you can't tell what? That's a double agent. If I'm not here, I get my envelope from him. If he's not here, he gets his envelope from me. But you're telling lies. Do me a favor. Arrange with him, go and sit at a restaurant. I'll come in and I'll do this sign. And he's going to respond like this. These guys, Baronar couldn't believe it. So they arranged the meeting with Mushu, uncle. And he didn't know, but by tools because he knows he's in their hands. Later on, they'll infiltrate him into Swaziland. How about this double agent working in Mozambique? Other security guys of ours were outside, others were inside. They observed everything that the double agent did, and Mushu responded in kind.
As predicted.
He responded in kind. These guys couldn't believe it. They sent a cable to Lusaka bara. Lo muntu lo simbonile unje siyambuyisa le. Bo Zuma etc. Bo mambara hayi ningambuyisi miyekeni lapho is fine. Bara bafana bara ubonwe yithi. We are going to kill him. Then when it was decided that he must be brought back to Lusaka, then things changed. All the guys who were in front of so she were umpimpi wena lebo TZ sabatontsiwa ke dimpimpi.
Oh.
Kaofela Francis Malali ke dimpimpi. A number of guys were withdrawn from the front, from Swaziland. Most unfortunately, TZ unfortunately dies in the hands of Jacob Zuma. But if they are still alive, they know that. And they hate the ANC even today. That's what about Zulu. We used to refer to the TZ. He died under mysterious circumstances when he was being labeled as a double agent. But Mushengu there's nothing. All our guys had seen Bamone, pinpointilo with a double agent. Now worse things happened after that. We came back into the country. All those who wanted to be integrated into SANDF had to go through Mushengu. That is why I said I'm not going there. He's in charge here. A guy who has been established was a double agent by our guys, exposed by a Mozambican double agent. He is put in charge here. When General Nyanda became a general, who was his chief of staff there? Omusobilizang was Mushengu. There was nothing that Gebza could do without the concurrence of Mushengu. Mushengu was good in artillery. Where did he learn the artillery? Because all of us know it's about artillery. We use as a spam.
Just take a moment and explain what is artillery for the rest of us.
Artillery, not the heavy machine guns. The Grats, it's in a repeatable standing way gone. Those big guns. Yeah. Yes. He was the one and only who excelled in that. Where did he learn that? Where did he learn that? That without him, Tintone must still go Angola. So Mushengu, uncle, he was brought back into Swaziland to come and identify me.
Why you?
Because the ANC and the boss didn't know who had staged the Johannesburg Magistrate Court bomb blast. That is why even after the explosion on the 20th of May 1987, the ANC took long to take accountability. Hence the removal of Kipoza, later Shock. Because now they were doing things that were against Bundatewa Rona Kwakodimo. Now, because they only knew my code names, they couldn't decipher my companion Joseph Koetle then. Now, Mushengu's purpose was to come and identify. In my first episode, I think you remember, Ikire, if I had survived, I would be a dead man today. You remember? I hinted that little. I'm going there now. Had I survived Maburu Molomo border and went into Swaziland, I was going to report to Mushengu if he was not identified by our guys in Mozambique. Maburu Anatunka Hossein. Because Mushengu will know all my whereabouts. I will be receiving my money from him.
So for those who did not watch the other episode, what he means is at the time he was running to Swaziland, he was accosted by armed soldiers who they then shot him And during that skirmish, he then had to unalive one, and he was taken into custody. And instead of finishing his mission, then he was taken somewhere. And he's saying, had that skirmish not have happened, he was going to go to the hands of what he calls an internal enemy. That's Mshengu. Did I put it well?
Yes, because I was going to report to him, not knowing that he was a double agent. Until we discovered later, when he was arrested by our comrade in Mozambique, that he was a double agent. To compound matters, when we are here at home, he is the one put in charge.
What is he in charge of?
Of us integrating into Sandef.
Oh, yes, at Valmansdal.
Yes. And our top general, our top commander in Angola was Brati. We expected Brati to have been the first general. But he was relegated lower. Mushengu higher. I think it was Gebuza and then Mushengu. Brati Umrao. A man who it had been determined was a double agent by our guys. Now, I've clarified that of Isabel and Tembe, that somebody must come in account. Why was he harboring Tembe here in South Africa? Why did he attend the funeral of Tembe's child when I've never seen him attend comrade's funeral? He had to leave a very serious thing happening at Lutule House to come and attend a young man, a Mozambican's funeral, using taxpayers' money, resources, and government resources to attend a nobody's funeral. Now, I said earlier that I'm a communist at heart. But knowing that the system in the West targeted communism wherever it was, I felt that, and I don't believe in labels, and I don't want to be labeled a communist, because it's the West that like to label things. If you're not a capitalist, you are a communist. I'm not a communist, I'm a socialist at heart, because I believe, like I've said, that no one man can possess everything and the mineral wealth of the earth. Now we are in exile. Chris Hani is the chief of staff of MK. Joe Slovo is the secretary general of Communist Party. During the talks about talks, Joe Slovo decided to leave, relinquish the position from the Communist Party to concentrate more on the negotiations. Chris Hani decides to occupy that position. Don't forget, I said Chris Hani is politically schooled and you understand better than what I'm understanding, that the West will always chase communism wherever it is and destabilize. Chris Hani will come back into the country. He becomes the Secretary General of the SACP. And all the youth and everybody, including yourself, really behind Chris Hani.
He was the general.
Now, the process within the ANC policies, for you, the famous person is the one that occupies the highest position. That's how it worked. So, in the early 90s, before the election, before Chris Hani passed on, who was second to Mandela in terms of popularity?
OR.
No, OR was no more. No, OR. OR is no more.
After the elections?
No, before the election. Yeah, when we came back, and then the negotiations are beginning, and the ANC branches are being formed.
I wouldn't know. Because I would have thought OR.
OR had a stroke.
Yes, but he was alive.
Yeah, OR, he was not going to stand for any position.
Okay.
That's why he was undermined by this old man Mandela. who usurped his. Mandela came to us as a proxy.
Even.
He was imposed upon us.
Why?
We never elected him to be our spokesperson when he was released. Who elected him? Who mandated him?
But
who mandated Mandela?
But we were told this narrative, Comrade Joe, that during those difficult times when the ANC came with four strategies of war, they, amongst the leadership, decided that we need a poster boy to represent the interest of this organization. So they could sell it to Free Mandela concert and stuff, and they identified Nelson Mandela as that face. So it looked like it was a concerted effort to say, let us endorse this man to be the face of the struggle.
Ooh.
We don't know
no,
the leadership.
Each and every organization has got its constitution.
Yes.
You get elected. It's still even happening today. Oliver Tambo was the president.
Who was staying at the enemy's base in England?
No, he was in Lusaka. Oliver Tambo, the ANC was like this in exile because of OR. Oliver Tambo held the ANC together, though with albeit all the infiltration.
This is the part where I don't want to debate a lot because it's at the interest of the guest. Because I don't want to say, did he live in England? Did he live in Lusaka and other camps? But I just want let's
know. His wife stayed in England. She was a matron or a nurse with his kids. Oliver Tambo was running the ANC. He was the president of the ANC with his NEC that was based in Lusaka.
Are you contesting that he was in Lusaka on full-time basis?
Yes.
All right.
He was there. Now, there's something that you guys...
Teach us, please. Please.
Oliver Tambo was the president. Let's leave other things, whether he was in England or wherever. He was the president of the ANC.
Yes.
Duly elected so.
Yes.
When Mandela came out of wherever, from that house where he stayed, came out, was he a president of the ANC?
No, OR was.
Now, who gave Mandela the mandate to suspend the armed struggle and leave them?
I'm none the wiser.
He's a proxy. That's why he was imposed upon us. You are heading politically incorrect.
Yes.
I come and usurp you. And, because I've got money, so I've got backers.
Yes.
Mandela was not our president. When he was incarcerated, he was the president of the Youth League. And his term had ended. When he came back from exile, the president of the Youth League was Bashana, who took after Cheki Silebi. It was Bashana, who died in a very horrible accident.
Okay. So Mandela, out of prison?
He declares that the armed struggle is over, blah, blah, blah.
And even during those Victor Verster's difficult times, dodgy times, it was the Boers who were negotiating with him on behalf of the ANC. Is that particular part of our history not sitting well with you and freedom fighters?
Yes, it's not sitting well. That's why we are where we are today, because of what Mandela did. With the collusion of those who had infiltrated the ANC in exile. Oliver Tambo was overwhelmed and crippled. When you're surrounded by people like Joe Modise, Chris, Hani, and them in the NEC, what would you do?
So Mandela says, during the Victor Verster years, it was his most difficult time in his life, because it was at a time where, when he was speaking to the enemy, his allies, his friends, were thinking that he was selling out. This is Mandela himself. He says it in Cry Freedom. No, Long Walk to Freedom. Does ANC and it's very difficult to bring ANC as a collective of the time. Did they approve of Mandela being held at Fixed Affairs Feld and being a sole negotiator? Were they happy with it? The leadership of the ANC? Because I understand you and understand other people are not happy with it. But did the ANC
I've just said the ANC was heavily infiltrated.
Compromised?
And compromised. Oliver Tambo was compromised by Adide Tambo. She did this inadvertently, where a famous Daily Mail journalist went to her. To Adelaide, this was a famous journalist who was pronouncing positively on the ANC, so I can divulge certain things to him. Little did she know that she was talking to a double agent. That mistake that she made is the one that compromised Oliver Tambo. Yamvalumlungu Oliver Tambo. Wakuluma Oliver Tambo sizokupa kipalo. To keep quiet and listen to everything. Because he did not do it, Oliver Tambo. Somebody did it.
What did he not do?
No, he did not compromise the ANC. Adelaide compromised the ANC by giving certain information to that journalist, whom she thought was a progressive journalist. And yet that journalist, Daily Mail journalist, was a double agent.
What was so important about that? That information that was divulged, that it was used to blackmail them?
Top secrets that were there. So now if somebody comes to you, Mamplelis Mabano or Robesi Kalutula left. And then somewhere you get Mashiane Skabampla Masipa Ketabons or Bonaso. Choska two level when I take her and select the notes hele. Some of those things. Oliver Tambo was the best, though he was surrounded. So the number of the ANC, that's why I always refer you to the spy catcher. To see...
We have noted that.
Yeah, how infiltration works and how deep it can go.
Let's go back to Mandela comes back. Mandela is the most famous. We're looking for the second famous. And I say OR, but OR is physically incapacitated. And it means... You know who's the second?
It was Hani.
Okay.
Who was? No, I just want you to agree with me.
In 1990, I was 10 years old.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, then Chris Hani was the most famous. That's why even you, when you started knowing about the ANC, you loved him.
Of course.
So now, in the ANC, the more famous you are, though the more popular you are, the higher you are on the list.
Yes.
So it was clear and obvious that Mandela is high. Thabo was not there. Chris was number 2 because people hated Thabo Mbeki. I don't know for what good reason.
You know.
And then it could have been the others below. But now my question that I'm asking is, if Chris Hani was still alive, who would have been the president after Mandela?
Ish.
Come on.
Is that most famous question? Of course, it was going to be Chris Hani.
I want you to say that. Don't hold your teeth.
But
it's obvious, it is clear he was popular. And he is still popular today.
Okay. If he was... I don't want to go back and forth with you because I want to go to Durban, the Durban 91 conference, and a lot of he didn't emerge, and of course OR was incapacitated, and of course at the time Mandela was then had become the president.
Yes.
Yes.
And because in the absence of Chris Hani, who became Mandela's right-hand man, Thabo Mbeki. So if Chris Hani was there, who would have been there? Chris Hani, it is clear, everybody will tell you, we cannot shy away from that. Chris Hani would have been the president of the country. You can debate it with the number of people that come into the show, will tell you. Now, Chris Hani is the Secretary General of the SACP in South Africa. I've already given you a background of what the West is doing to a country that has got communism.
So they feared the emergence of communists?
Before fearing.
No.
Before fearing. Fearing is the last resort. Who would have been the president of the country after Mandela?
By your assertion, Chris Hani.
Chris Hani. You can say in my assertion, yes, and I accept it. And it's like that.
Yes.
Now, if you have a communist at the head of your country, would you have investors?
You would have tentative investors, but those investors might be coerced into behaving differently. And I say it with the recognition that I do not want to debate with you, because I do not want to say the Communist Party of China is working and is thriving. Because their dynamics and ours are different.
Yeah,
we would have investors, but they would behave differently, and they might have certain terms and conditions because it would be something against their neck because they fear the West. So, but I don't want to debate it. But let me just say,
you've said your general knowledge, and you are on the right track.
Okay.
Will the economy of South Africa grow with a communist head when I've already given you the background of what's happened in Angola, what's happened in Cuba, what's happened in Mozambique, in all the countries. Even Lemaburu Muhaimu, if you can follow my documentary, and Tatewatu Venach says he is a Christian, I am a communist. It means they were indoctrinated from childhood to hate communists. So
because they were seen as terrorists.
Yes.
The word communist is today equivalent to terrorist.
Yes. Now you have a communist at the head of a state. Will the Western investors invest in South Africa?
No.
First time you say no quickly. Who's going to suffer if there's no employment?
Whites, including us.
Who had the monies?
Monies, the whites.
So don't say whites, including us.
Because as a consequence, we would have suffered.
We would have suffered.
Yes.
Will they be happy?
They would lose more.
Now, will there be peace in South Africa? Would we have had peace in South Africa? Take into account what happened in Mozambique and in Angola and in Cuba. You've said China dynamics are different. Russia,
yes,
they are stronger.
Yes.
Cuba is weaker, can do nothing. That is why during the Bay of Pigs, Khrushchev had to show Russia, America that not is about defender.
Yes.
On their own, Cuba couldn't do anything. That is why we have even that
Guantanamo Bay
jail there imposed on the land of the Cubans. Because they have no power, they can't do anything.
One of the most complex oxymorons in geopolitics is that Guantanamo.
Now, the whites all over the world believe in privatization, that one man must hold and call shots. So when you come with communism, they attack you. They attacked Angola, they attacked Mozambique, now in South Africa, it's where the very same bonus were pursuing us right up to Angola. Now they have communists at their head. Mangobe, Kachapteles, you name them, the TBV state, would have allowed themselves, would have participated in the negotiations, knowing that the communists will be at the head. There's a research that must do, Mashiane, and be fair on it. I'm saying unequivocally no. We would still be fighting against each other today. Because the Mangopes would be saying no. The Kachas would have been saying no. The Khozos would have been saying no. Ubethana thina apha abantu bamnyama. Just lo leti dithi Angola ngokwafakela uNansika uSavimbi. Faka udlakama le Mozambique. Would be fighting here. And where umnotho uzayapi? Ubethe ngobani yibo belungu. That is why Fidel Castro had said, Kakuto Carnival, said, Asbabete Sbakribe. Said, no, when Yemen is down, we don't kick him here, because you'll never have a country to rule. Because had we moved them there, they would have run away, but left the monies with their proxies to keep on destabilizing us. We are wondering what do they want to do, go Burkina Faso. Just to give an example of what the West are doing. That young man is fighting for his people. But the French are not here because they were busy taking the minerals are taking now. They are busy sending the third force to try and kill him. We faced such a situation in South Africa with the communists at the head. I've said and I repeat, I believe in communism, but I don't want the name. I'm a socialist. The government that comes in must take care of the people.
Let's go back to Chris Hani. You think Chris Hani was taken out without his fellow people hands involved?
I'm not going to commit myself on that one. But I've asked you a question. Will you have investors in South Africa with the communists at the head? Who was popular after Mandela? Chris Hani. Okay, it's obvious he was going to be the president.
Okay. Why did they do a swap of Joe Slovo, a white Joe Slovo, a white communist, going to Codesa, and then Chris Hani remaining the head of SACP as the general secretary?
Chris Hani had his own agenda. Joe Slovo was the chief of staff of MK. Chris Hani was the commissar. When Joe Slovo relinquished the position of chief of staff, we had thought Cassius Marco would be the chief of staff. I'm saying Chris Hani debased himself. Because to us, commissar is more senior to a chief of staff. So that's why I'm saying Chris Hani debased himself to occupy the chief of staff position because it was strategic. You are able to control the cadres. As a commissar, you can't. You're just like a commander there. The most important person was the chief of staff. So Joe Slovo leaves that position of chief of staff, Chris Hani takes it. Communist Party, Joe Slovo leaves, Chris Hani takes. Politically schooled, he knows, I've just given you the background, that where there's communism, the West follows and destabilize. Now I go home, I want to be a communist with nothing. If we were resource, we had everything, I don't give a damn what the West would say, just like Russia and China. I'll tell them, go fly high.
So let's talk about Codesa. Let's talk about mandates. Where the ANC has always said we're ready to govern. And of course, even before, the person who was fishing them is Dr. Vanzile Slabet, with meetings, Harare and other places to bring them in. And those things started, those minutes, meetings about meetings, all those protracted negotiations before the actual negotiations. Was there ever a conference of the ANC that submitted the things that the ANC want their delegates to go and negotiate at Codesa? And was there ever a feedback session to say, these are the things that you wanted, these are the things that we delivered, these are the things that we could not deliver? As an ANC person, out and out ANC person, Have you ever seen that?
I haven't seen that. When we came back and everybody came back, we were scattered. It was every man for himself.
Mm-hmm.
We were scattered. The branches were only formed when it was decided that there's going to be elections. And that's when proper structures were formed. When we came back, there were no structures. ANC never existed in the country as a formal structure before 1990. We were in exile. There was no formal structure. We had the NEC and the Youth League, but Amasoja le, Ama Young Pioneer le, Ujonas Kwangwa with his Amandla group sending the message. We fought the struggle in different ways. But come back into the country, there's no formal structure. This structure only formed after the negotiations when elections were now being announced that there will be elections. This when about what Albamat, Yenzanama branch, where there was a directive from the ANC at one point in time. You understand? Because there were no structures. Because they wanted to take power by hooks and crooks. So it was on a learning curve, the ANC. So then after the first elections, but the people who had the knowledge about union, and they knew all the tricks.
Because they existed in the 80s.
And they had election structures.
And this is where Cyril Ramaphosa came from. Do you feel Cyril Ramaphosa was imposed as well?
During the apartheid era, promotion, when a person was promoted, it was on merit. There was no union. And there was production. People used to exert themselves. In comes the union. Mashiane is a diligent and dedicated person. You are at work Monday to Monday. Punctual. Joe is Tawa. Come the terms of increment. I get the same increment. Union is bargaining for 3%, 4%, whatever. When you've been diligent, committed every day, when do they get the very same percentage that we all get? So where do the standards go? During the apartheid era, they recognize you. They keep a record. They've been watching you. A position arises, tell the staff. They don't even tell them, Joe, Mashiane, I think you are due for this position. Now the manager is moving away, so you're going to be the manager because we've seen your record. Others must up themselves. Now, will you care to up yourself when you know that you're not going to be recognized? When there's senior position available, but union say, my advertise here. And then already they know they've got their person. Also, I'm setting legal points, legal question. Then you go to the interviews. That person will sharp from their position. And yet there was a person acting that during the vacuum, the absence of the actual occupier of the position, somebody was nominated to act. And that person may have proved him or herself on that position. During the apartheid era, that person would have been given the position. But now, because we've got the unions, because our union lays imatu or samu whatever. But teacher, my principal. The principal say ripambana dikenze because kimutu wasatu. So where's production? That's why South Africa is going down the drain because of the unions. Take a Zimbabwean worker, Umubele, South African, one who's going to protest. Yeah, the unions are stifling progress. Because whether kilo from Monday to Monday, we get the same increment. So what will motivate me to excel at work? Okay, the bottom line, it's not okay if I can improve it this way. It can be better, save so much.
But
innovate.
So
I just threw it off. So whose progress is being retarded? Why do we need the union when we've got the labor court and the CCMA?
Isn't that anti-individualism kind of stance? Isn't that socialism in its nature, to say all of us? It sounds like a contradiction from the political ethos of understanding that this thing belongs to us and it's all of us who benefit.
We don't have socialism then. Now it's capitalism that's stifling the progress. With socialism, we all work equally and we'll all produce because we're all going to benefit. This is ours. Let's ensure it's a mabida kurui. Rates a week. I didn't know. Everybody speaker rates go for right. At the end, we all get rewarded equally. Now, with the current situation, where is innovation? Where is that incentive? I was executive officer in the city of Johannesburg. I had a staff member who was problematic. I couldn't fire that man because of the unions. Atleleka mangolo di doctor certificate to Nigerians. Mama, the union is some we come well. And but we immediately and once they can, some union can gang up against you. They call the shots. So now, what incentivizes another diligent young girl men to work when Abona Huitalan so?
So let me understand. I sat down with Ntate Jasop, who was a prisoner at Kwato. And I sat with others who went to exile. It seems this war was waging between the Boers and us. It seems we are the ones who lost because we did not get what we fought for. It was a compromise. It's a compromise, and we still did not get what we wanted, economic emancipation. Of course, we can vote, but the vote, like you said, the electoral system is problematic. And even when we were in our camps, we were so infiltrated so much that we ended up abusing each other, like, Camp Quattro and stuff, Matola raids, and there were lots of ambushes, double agents. Just about everyone had about 3-4 pseudonyms just to run away from each other. Did MK intelligence infiltrate the Boers and the SANDF and apartheid government? Did we have spies on that side?
You can have spies on that, but who they have your head as their boy. So what value will it help you? You'll get false.
So this struggle warfare
we were infiltrated
from the heads.
Yes. Strategic infiltration. That's why we still suspect Modise as being one top mole. Chris Hani, I've confirmed.
You believe?
I've confirmed. No progressive person can do what Chris Hani did. That is why I'm still posing those questions.
For those who have not seen the previous episode, please go and watch it so you could understand How far?
When we attacked Komaseru, he moved his family. What did he know?
Jacob Zuma says he moved around, but there was a point he was at home. His house was targeted to be bombed, and an instruction was given to halt that attack because Chris Hani was with his kids. But he says whoever knew all that information, it is known. And he says one day, ngizokhuluma. One day we'll talk about it. Do you know who Msholo is suspecting?
Msholo himself is a double agent. He's been saying for years, Ngizokhuluma, why don't you khuluma? The mere fact that Msholozi harbored Tembe, number one. Number two, he visited Eugene de Kock. 3, he did nothing for us when he was president. He had all the powers to instruct ministers to do A, B, C, D, even if you don't change the constitution. But to say, minister, increase the budget so that the MK guys should get a little. Simple, without tampering the constitution. Did he do that?
Do you think free education, the ANC deployees that you deployed in government are afraid to do it because the white funders will not like it?
We are still being controlled by the West. Why are we still taking money from the IMF? We've got our gold, we've got our diamonds here. We shouldn't be taking any loans. If we need money, just sell a lot and get money and fund whatever project you want to fund. Now we are practicing capitalism. Billionaires, Abu Gaten McKinsey, they got billions from the minerals or wealth of the earth. Imagine that profitable and if it was helping the populace, where would we be?
I know you are disappointed. I know you are disappointed with how our freedom was when it was achieved. Promises were sidelined. What is the solution? What is it what would make you happy? Because the questions you are asking, the question we asked in the previous podcast, and the question we're asking today, no one is going to answer. What is the way forward for South Africans?
The ANC is a stumbling block.
Your ANC?
Yes, the ANC, the African National Congress, the current one,
yes,
is the stumbling block towards the impersonation of a black man.
What is this?
Because they are refusing now. They are the one who are retarding the progress with regard to the amendment of the electoral process. They are the ones who are stifling the progress. Why? Because we say we want to elect our leaders. They are the ones who've got the majority and they are the ones who are refusing. Because they are hypocrites. Because they want to piggyback on the list. Because if the list is not there, we will come and choose Mashiane, because we have seen Mashiane or Opila le batho. Bona ba sa peleng le batho. Ke bona ba mo dilisitse high because of the list, because ba rekile, they bought the positions. But if the people choose, you won't bias. When you tell you to debate with Mashiane, must debate litapole mama reloot and the return Mashiane when Rautseba o dumedise batho. O re amona kena o ke amona hack re batla o.
So what is the solution in short?
Change the electoral system.
No one will. The ANC is in control, and whoever needs to replace the ANC will be funded by the same people who are funding the ANC and deliberately stifling the progress of the ANC. So there is no one who's going to replace the ANC and change the things the ANC wants. So what is the solution?
I'm hamster.
You freedom fighters are the ones who said the ANC was ready to govern. You said the ANC was ready to govern, but the ANC did not have money to fund their campaigns, all their campaigns. when these people came back from exile, they did not have money, but they drove and lived in lavish places. They were funded, and you knew they were funded. People are saying checkbook campaigning, political campaigning, even in Durban 91 conference, it was already there. Where did these people get money? How did Sol Kessner, how did the Minel feminists, how did they, all these feminists, how did they become friends with freedom fighters?
That is why I said, Mashiane, we were infiltrated. That is why I'm referring you to the spy catcher. The singing of people shall govern. We were made to sing. That's theory. Practically is the opposite.
So if you say there's no solution politically, because I do not believe politically there's a solution, it's a case of where we are sitting, we are better than Somalia. So we might as well enjoy this, because the next other thing is to dismantle this thing and go Burkina Faso route. A lot of South Africans don't want the Burkina Faso route because no one wants to fight. They're saying we are much better than we are right now. And this is the culmination of ANC policies.
Now, I agree with you, Mashiane, but let's not lose hope. We've got Mkwanazi who has just...
There's no Messiah that is coming.
No,
they are managing...
No, I'm saying there's Mkwanazi that's rearing its head.
Got a chop.
Another Mkwanazi will rear its head one day.
Close.
Our children, our grandchildren will be observing this. And there'll be a paradigm shift. For now, what's important is for us to change the curriculum in terms of history. Proper history. Let's get all these scholars once I the research and write a proper thing to prepare our grandchildren now so that they will be able to think independently. And once that happens, I think there'll be changes. For now, as you are saying, we are better than Somalia, we are better than... I don't agree with you, but it is the situation. It is like that.
Yes.
The ANC money has worked.
Still working.
People have been bought and they are comfortable. But there's one thing that they forget. We are all mortals. You may amass your billions. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. That's my hope. We're all mortals. You may be sitting up there, abusing, but when you sleep, you don't know whether you'll wake up. Like me now, when I leave here and go sleep, I don't know whether I'll wake up tomorrow. And I don't think tomorrow will be like today. And today is not like yesterday. Things will change.
That's your closing. Mashiane, politically incorrect. I have lost hope as a South African. No, I know I've said this many times. If you have watched the podcast, the previous one, you would understand why he's not a freedom fighter by decoration. He's literally a freedom fighter. He fought on the front lines. He eliminated enemies. He fought for this country, literally. If he is giving up, if he doesn't know what to do, who are we to know what we should do? Mashiane, politically incorrect. I repeat, go and watch the other podcast to see what we are talking about. It will link. The people who demanded part 2, they forced him to come out of his